Sean McElwee of Alternet wrote an article about new atheists called "What the New Atheists Get Very Wrong About Religion." This article got me upset a little bit, I won't lie, and the reason is because Alternet usually does a fantastic job, but in this piece here, they basically totally misrepresent the whole purpose of the new atheist movement, and they borderline smear them. So first, he says, quote, Christopher Hitchens believed atheism would end world conflict, but the world's wars aren't about politics. But the world's wars are about politics, not religion. Right off the bat, you're wrong. In the first line, you're wrong, because Christopher Hitchens didn't think atheism would end all world conflict. That's insanity. He pointed out the fact that a lot of the wars historically have been because of religion, which you can't deny that. Sure, a lot of them have been about politics, but a lot have also been about religion. And he says, this is what the new atheism, anti-theist movement led originally by Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, and the late, great Christopher Hitchens, this is what that movement asserts. The fundamental error in the new atheist dogma is one of logic. The basic premise is something like this. 1. The cause of all human suffering is irrationality. 2. Religion is irrational. 3. Religion is the cause of all human suffering. He says the new atheist argument gives religion far, far too much credit for its ability to mold institutions and shape politics, committing the classic logical error of post hoc ergo propter hoc, mistaking a cause for its effect. Now, let's pause here, because no, you are the one making the logical fallacy. You have created a straw man. Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, Daniel Dennett is only one of those I haven't read, but all those guys I can guarantee you, because I read all their books, none of them have ever made the argument religion is the cause of all human suffering, or irrationality is the cause of all human suffering, and if you get rid of it, everything is hunky-dory. None of them have ever made that argument. You made that up. You put that on the new atheist movement. Now look, there's a varying degree of people within the new atheist movement. Some of them think there should be like a total abolition of religion. They don't think, you do that by law. They think you try to change people's minds over time and it naturally happens. But none of them ever argued that, everything will be perfect then. No more murder, no more robbery, no more anything. That's ridiculous. So, as Bill Maher says, the actual problem with religion is this. They've caused most wars, not all, most wars, the Crusades, the Inquisition, 9/11, arranged marriages to minors, blowing up girls' schools, the suppression of women and gays, fatwas, ethnic cleansings, honor rape, human sacrifice, burning witches, suicide bombings, condoning slavery, and the systematic fucking of children. That's what religion has caused in the world. Now, sometimes they have groups that get together, humanitarian groups that go around and do good things, but you can't just brush all of this other stuff under the rug and pretend like it's not there. It is there, and it is a problem that people, when they believe God is on their side, they're willing to do hideous and atrocious things. But then here's where the article goes off the deep end. He says, quote, might it be better to see jihad as a response to Western colonialism and the upending of Islamic society, rather than the product of religious extremism? The goal of the new atheists is to eliminate centuries of history that Europeans are happy to erase and render the current conflict as one of reason versus faith, rather than what it is, exploiter versus exploited. Let's break this down here. All right, so first of all, jihad is not all the fault of the West. I hate this argument. Look, I am the first one to argue on a regular basis, as I do on the show, that the policies of the West have exacerbated the problem, right? And they've made it, you've net created terrorists because we do drone strikes that kill civilians and moderate people go and join the Taliban or go and join Al-Qaeda. There's been studies done on this, the Iraq effect. In 2007, we learned about this, where because we killed so many civilians, there's been more terrorists created in Pakistan and Yemen. In Somalia, you can see this. When our drone strikes kill people, people become more radicalized. Yes, of course, we have exacerbated the problem by doing a wrong policy, okay? That's for sure. But you can't blame the West for all of jihad. That's insane. The original idea of jihad, yes, there are some people, regardless of U.S. foreign policy, there are some people in Al-Qaeda, in Al-Nusra Front, in Boko Haram. I mean, I can go on and on naming all the different jihadist groups. There are people in those groups that want to eliminate America and implement an actual system based on Sharia law. They're not going to get there, but they want that. You can't just blame all jihad on the West. That's insanity. That is extremist thinking. That is generalized thinking, which is sloppy, which you're accusing the new atheists of doing, but you're really doing. So that's point number one. And I like how he says that Christopher Hitchens and Dawkins basically try to apologize for, sweep under the rug Western colonialism, as if that's not an issue. No, Richard Dawkins is a pretty strong liberal, and he's the first one to say, yeah, not only was there Western colonialism, but it was horrific, it was terrible, these places all needed to be liberated, and he would also say that a lot of that colonialism was probably based on trying to spread these Christian values, like the Crusades, like the Inquisition, for example. So you're wrong in the sense that, oh, they don't acknowledge it? Of course they acknowledge it. And again, he says the goal of new atheists is to eliminate centuries of history. No, they're not trying to eliminate any area of history. They want to talk about it all, and then based on that and the evidence, come to a rational conclusion. And look, man, both things are true. To his final point, he says they want to view it as a conflict of reason versus faith rather than exploiter versus exploited. No. Both things are true, and it's not mutually exclusive. So it is, so for example, when France is currently fighting a war in Mali versus Al-Qaeda, who's taken over all of northern Mali, it's basically become Al-Qaedistan, right? That is a war between reason and faith. France, relatively secular, more secular than we are in practice, trying to stop Islamic extremists from killing people and doing all these horrible things. Yes, reason versus faith. Yes, you can't deny that, okay? But then, yes, it's also true that there is some exploiter versus exploited. So, for example, the Iraq War is a good example. We just flat out exploited an entire population. Saddam Hussein didn't attack us. Saddam Hussein wasn't responsible for 9/11. He didn't have WMDs. We killed over 100,000 innocent civilians. So, yes, that is an example of exploiter versus exploited. So, look, you can't just do all these broad sweeping comments. You have to look specifically at the different cases. All wars are different. And different things are involved in each one. So you need to look at each one and determine what's going on. And in some cases, it's religion versus reason. In some cases, it's religion versus other religion. In some cases, it's all politics. In some cases, it's exploiter versus exploited. But either way, look, man, this is really just a hack job on the new atheist movement. You're mischaracterizing their argument. It's a straw man. All these guys want. And look, I'm as big of an anti-theist as the guys in the new atheist movement. I'm technically an agnostic because I don't know if there's a God or not, or I don't know if there's some sort of other realm or other senses that we don't know about. I think there are some things our reason won't ever get to, right? But the bottom line is these guys just want to limit, by educating people, limit the effect of fundamentalist religion on the world and make as many people secular, rational thinkers as possible. And no, we're not saying it's going to eliminate all wrongs, but it certainly will help in making our society more rational and more just.